The Ohio State University defeats Texas 14-7, and frankly, a pretty weird game. And we're going to discuss all of that. But this, of course, was the Inside Texas postgame show, and it's brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I am joined by the one and only Drew Kelson, former Texas football player, a player that was able to win at Ohio State back in the day. So a slight difference there, but happy to have Drew on. And also we got Cord, guys. You might know him as Ghost and Friends from YouTube, Ghost on Twitter. He has joined the Inside Texas team. Say hello to Cord, everybody. He will be doing a Sunday show for us and a couple of night lives throughout the week. So you'll be seeing his face more often. But I always love his analysis, measured takes, all of that stuff. So he'll be joining us. And then Ian is writing right now for the board, but hopefully he can join us here in a little while. I'm sure he will deliver some interesting takes that you guys will surely love. So guess what, guys? First, you need to go over to that board I mentioned, InsideTex.com. Best recruiting, game analysis, team analysis, all of that stuff. You guys can join $1 for your first week, and you get a complimentary full year to The Athletic. Hell of a bargain, fellas. Okay, chat, you guys are fired up. We will try to go at this in a reasonable manner and not just jump off on different tangents, try to talk about one thing at a time. But is there a first thing from Cord or Drew? Is there a number one thing that stood out immediately when you think of this game?
I just missed opportunities. Overall, it's you look at our opportunities as just to score the football. Just keeping it simplistic. More opportunities than Ohio State had. It feels like, we didn't give it away because, a lot of those opportunities came late when Ohio State kind of is with the 2-score lead, in my opinion, playing a little bit softer on defense. But had every opportunity, in my opinion, to win the game, and it doesn't happen, part of it. But that would be the first thing that jumps out.
Drew, what you got, man?
There were obvious nerves, across the board. And I'd say it was on both sides. But usually you get through that at some point. So I'm not sure what was going on throughout the game. Where it's just you getting hands on balls. It's funny, the defense, I felt, did what they need to do, but offensively, it looked out of sync. It looked sloppy. When there were certain times where schematically we just didn't seem like we had an answer. Okay, that's one thing. That's going to happen when you're going into a game and you have a strong opponent, a strong defensive coordinator, and you get like that. But when we have the opportunities, you have to be far more efficient and effective in maximizing those. And man, we just too many missed chances there. So we got to figure that out.
Cool. This is what I wanted to see in the pregame, and I wanted to look at it postgame and see what we're going to do. These are the things I wanted to see. I wanted to see first down success, getting 4 and 5 yards, so you're not in 3rd and long. We did not see that. Of course, that resulted in a bunch of issues with long 3rd downs. I think our average 3rd down and distance to go actually improved towards the end. It was sitting around 7.3. By the end of it, it was actually 5.5. Ohio State actually had a longer 3rd down distance to go, but struggled on first, especially early. We would get down on these 1st and 10s. Drew knows I was talking about this in the group chat. We would come out in 2nd and 10. We would predictably do a interior run. Ohio State would be 100% ready for it, and they would stuff it. Now we're in 3rd and 10 with a quarterback that frankly looked nervous. I didn't want any 3rd quarter blues. Hey man, technically I got 1st, 2nd, and 3rd quarter blues, so it wasn't really a dip. It was just I never got going to get them. So this was a big matchup for me. Wide receiver physicality. I talked about the biggest matchup in this game for me. It was actually the Texas wide receivers versus their DBs, not the inverse that everyone was talking about. And we saw that. Our wide receivers were covered heavily. Matthews made really good plays on the ball besides giving up that Livingston touchdown. Wide receivers, man, I'll see the all 22, but super blanketed. Not much going on. When they were open, Arch was just crazy inaccurate, but that was a big thing. Surprise of the game, I thought we were going to see a lot more problems from the offensive line, and I thought they looked good. Like in pass pro, Arch had plenty of time. They weren't rushing a lot. They were getting, they were sending 4 and 3 and playing coverage, but good surprise of the game was offensive line. I thought that was going to be a bigger problem. It wasn't running backs getting yards after contact. We actually ran pretty decent today, but not a lot of creating from the backs. Kind of if the hole was there, our guys would get it, but not a lot of big plays there. So that's what I want to see on the offense. I was pretty damn spot on what I was worried about, minus offensive line cohesiveness. So that was a big thing. I know the chat's y'all are going so fast. I can't even keep up with this chat. Let's talk Arch Manning. That's going to be the big headline story. Let's just go ahead and address that. From Arch Manning's first game performance, Cord, what did you think, man?
I'm not going to say it went exactly as I thought it'd go because he struggled more than I thought he would, but I thought there would be struggles, man. I didn't think that he would do anything crazy in this game. I had him at around 200 yards with a couple of touchdowns and a pick. Flipped the ratio almost on the pick and touchdowns, the one that got overturned. But I mean, just a little bit of happy feet. I think he was going through progressions a little bit too quickly early on in the game, working way too fast down to his checkdowns, in my opinion. And as time going into the second half, I thought it slowed down just a little bit, but then you have the quick out to Jack Indries there on a 2nd and 5, a very manageable, easy and manageable throw for Arch to Jack there, picks up probably 3rd and 4, puts us in a better spot on 3rd down. That was a bad throw. The throw on 3rd down was a bad throw. And I think it was just him just a little bit too quick in his mental process and with his body. With reps, I mean, he will slow down. But, I mean, yeah, a ton of pressure on the guy, a lot of hype around it. I was really, really hoping that, because at times last year, I think we saw the same issue with him, just a little bit processing things a little bit too quickly. And I think that's what we saw from him early in this game. I do think it slowed down just a hair as, the 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, we moved the ball a lot better, obviously. But then, that was a pretty simple throw to Jack there that kind of changed the direction of that drive. And so it was a big moment, it sped him back up. But, going down the line, I think he's going to turn out to be a really fun player to watch, of course. But obviously not the performance a lot of Texas fans were hoping to see.
Drew, what were you thinking as a defensive player? What would you have seen in Arch?
I mean, first things first, you got to hit your layups, man.
Yep.
I mean, when you have an opportunity for easy throw, I mean, I think the first throw of the game went into the dirt, and Sark schemed that one nice. I'm not sure if it was a boot or a rollout, but he was outside the pocket. Nice, easy throw. He just threw it in the dirt. So that's the first things first. I know for a fact he has not missed those throws for the last years. Those are key throws, easy, simple throws that he was missing. I'm good with the uncertainty when there's tight coverage and those things. And in some cases, the receiver's not breaking down routes or just he's not coming back to the ball. I mean, there's certain things that he could have definitely had help with. And there's certain things he's going to take the bullet on really for everybody in cases where maybe he could have used some help, whether it be play calling or with some of the receivers. But at the end of the day, you got to hit your free throws. You got to hit your layups. When you have those easy shots, those easy plays, you got to be able to hit those. And he didn't, and we didn't. And that's just it. We don't really know what more could have happened in this game had he hit those free throws, had he hit those throws. When you stay behind the chains, we're not making the throws that just kind of keep things moving. It puts you in a bind, and Sark really didn't get to cook, to be honest with you. So you gotta take advantage of the easy plays, kind of get more into the flow of things.
Yeah, the mechanics were weird because I've been harping on liking his mechanics from the games last year. I thought keeps his arm tight to his chest. I thought he was sound. I thought his drops were good in previous games, but man, he looked really nervous to me. And his mechanics got weird. He was having some tunnel vision stuff there. Now the receivers I thought got clamped down, but there were also times where there were some things open and he's not even, either he's not looking to that side of the field because he wants to go with a different read or whatever. But I thought he got incredibly laser focused and wasn't seeing the field well at all for most of the game. Then towards the end, he starts to pick it up, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I thought it was a breakdown in mechanics. I thought he looked nervous. And I thought the receivers didn't do him any favors. Now, there were times the receivers are open underneath and he's throwing it in the dirt or he's throwing it behind him. So it was just really a out of sync performance and a performance I expected, some struggles, but just sailing things, 10 yards over people's heads and throwing it into the dirt. That's where I was like, what is going on with that? Because, that was a composure that I
And the ball that
I didn't
the
see
ball
earlier.
that was picked off to Wingo, that ball had to be thrown a full half second to 3/4 of a second earlier. He had a little bit of room out there, but I mean, again, it's just that's not the performance. I didn't think he would be perfect out there, but it's a little more mechanical breakdowns than I expected. I think he got a little bit short, especially when he was throwing to his right side in the flats. It's just short and quick and didn't really extend his arm through his body and rotate. We've seen that. We've not to make comparisons, but we've seen Quinn, just flip that out there so easily in the past, and maybe he's, trying to make that same type of sidearm type. But I just hadn't seen that from him in the past. I thought it was interesting to see. Didn't work for now.
We didn't see it. I mean, like Mississippi State, I mean, you could watch it. Like his mechanics were sound. Keep in mind, guys, like this is a Manning that has been getting good quarterback coaching since forever. So that was the biggest shock to me of just the mechanical breakdown. And then we talked a little bit about Sark's scheme. I thought it was incredibly pared down. I thought we didn't see the level of motions. There was one period where Sark did scheme it up. He did that like reverse handoff to Wingo screen and then backed it up with like an injury screen. I was like, okay, that was only 2 times where I was like, oh, Sark's scheming it up now. It felt I can't tell if Sark knows what's up with the offense and is like, look, man, we can't put all the bells and whistles in early. We're not ready. But I thought it was uncharacteristically a pretty boring game plan. And now if you can't hit anything, it's going to look that. But I just didn't see a lot of that signature kind of Sark's flash either in play design. And so that was also kind of a weird one for me. I told Cord in the group chat, it's funny because last year I was complaining. I was like, quit getting so cute and execute. And then he does quit getting cute and execute. We can't even do that. So, beggars can't be choosers. But I just thought Sark didn't look good play caller wise. And then, of course, red zone continues, right? Year 3, not being able to get that done.
You do a lot when you have all this time to anticipate a game. You switching defenses, defensive coordinator. I mean, he probably over prepared. For being honest, who knows, man? Like it just you had all this time, but it didn't seem like there was any conviction. And then when you did have the plays called that were positive plays, which is fine. It's fine if you don't have the perfect play call. You have to hit the plays where you do actually have it called. You have to. The coaches have to bail. Sometimes the coaches bail the player out with a play call, really easy throws. And sometimes the players have to bail out the coach. I mean, I've said this probably year over year. We did not bail out Sark when Sark wasn't making play calls, and Sark did not bail out the players. Like you have to be in sync in that way. And so the play calling didn't have to be great, but it looks much better when players are actually moving the ball and making the plays that are there to make. So, man,
it goes hand in hand for sure. I mean, Sark, obviously Arch struggled a little bit. I think Sark, maybe has better in his bag, but, it definitely affects one another, goes hand in hand. Whenever Sark does help, like you said, Drew, Sark does have something that's quality drawn up, and we don't execute it. That there were several, like you mentioned, the very first play, I thought that was a great design on the first game. You had it almost looked like a whip route from the tight end, and then you had the corner, and the corner's wide open there, as you said, and he threw it off his back foot, had plenty of time there, could have stepped into it. Might have taken a little bit of a bump, but yeah, I agree. I don't think Sark, agreeing with you, Homer, I don't think Sark was, he wasn't as flashy. You didn't see the motion. We talked about pre-snap penalties being a worry, and maybe, as you said, he just thought that was his best route to giving his offense a chance to just move the football, not shooting themselves, with penalties and whatnot. But we committed to on the first drive anyhow. And so, yeah, it definitely didn't look like the same flashy, sexy type of Steve Sarkisian offense there in the first half. You saw a little bit more of it, and we opened things up a little more of the screen game. I personally, in the red zone, I'm a fan of Arch's legs. I don't care that we ran back-to-back quarterback draws. We are facing a pretty dang good defense, and maybe, you run some other type of concept, other than just draw or power there, get something going on the edge, maybe some RPO action. But I want to see Arch. It gives me confidence in our offense going down the line that, Sark is willing to put the ball in Arch's hands inside the red zone, to trust him there. But, early on, I would have liked to see a little bit more of Arch's legs involved in the game plan, just to see Ohio State, how they reacted. And then hopefully they overcompensate and it becomes a big fear of them, because I do think as the season goes, Arch is going to be a pretty dangerous runner. Not saying he's going to carry the ball 15 times a game, but you can give it to him at times off the edge, and he'll keep people honest there on the interior.
I do think it's one of those things. I mean, you bring it up, Ghost. He has to use his legs earlier, whether it be design runs or just getting going and getting the juices flowing. It's a weapon. It's a weapon when there's no answers. He's able to use his legs and get some yards. I think when you can stress or prove that you're willing to stress a defense with your legs, it does open some things up. We know he can make the throws in different parts of the field. He wasn't doing that today. But his legs probably would have been a big help for just what could have just opened things up, loosened things up, and got the defense, at least put the defense at an edge where they have to make some adjustments, because we know he has that part of his game. While it's not what we want to lean into, I definitely think they could have used it today.
Well, I need to go back and watch the All-22 because, it's tough to watch it live. But, yeah, it felt like Patricia was, putting a lot of guys into the pass game. So you would think, hey, we saw what King and Arnold did last night, right? If they're going to have so many guys covering us up, which they did, then all right, time to run. But I need to go watch it on All-22. I heard someone mention they would spy them sometimes and stuff like that. In the heat of the battle, I didn't notice all of that, but I'll have to see. That's a big thing. The thing that did frustrate me was on the goal line on one QB sneak. Just pre-snap, Ohio State had that handled. Like, they looked like a total wedge. Like, they just had, like, at that point, you need the ability for a timeout.
You got to check out of that.
You need a check. Like, that was pre-snap. I could have told you that QB sneak was not going to work. That one was frustrating. And also, it's in larger context, right? Like, this team for the past 3 years can't finish, and it's frustrating. And the answer to that was, well, we'll see with Arch. We still have a full season, but it's frustrating, man. You got to be able to finish.
I'm curious in that spot. I don't like going quick. We kind of went semi-quick. We didn't even go like turbo speed to line up and go quick. Yeah. Ohio State was lined up before we were. What would y'all do? What would y'all have liked to see? And I like some 12 or 13 personnel, put the ball in Arch's hands, let him get behind a pulling guard or something of that before I do what we just did right there. I felt like we were outnumbered up the middle. We weren't even lined up, really. It looked like borderline illegal formation.
Yeah. And it was, counter, some QB power, give him a lead there. And he's also, like, Arch is trying to work to the right over the guard. It's just not there. And it wasn't even there pre-snap. So, yeah, just check to anything, timeout, figure it out, or have some type of check that turns outside. I know everyone's fearful of the outside run after Ohio State last game, but there's a reason why you can check out of there. But that was just kind of a dead play pre-snap. You just need something, right? Hey, man, get a fullback back there, introduce an interesting package, that kind of stuff. But that play was dead before it even happened, and that's why that one was particularly frustrating for me.
Yeah, it doesn't put the defense. You have to put the defense in conflict down there. You have to make them make decisions. So even if, I don't know, I love tight ends, fullbacks, like hybrid guys to where you don't know if they're blocking or if they're going out on a route, or you're booting out with having those guys as options, dragging across the formation with a running quarterback. You just have to give yourself multiple options in those plays and put the defense in conflict. When you're trying to go downhill, especially in an obvious, short yardage situation, counter that. Find a way to counter that. Anticipate what, how they're going to respond, but then give your quarterback some options. Give your offense some options to either run or get the ball out on the edge to somebody. And it wasn't there. We believed we were better at something than we were.
Well, and it's really also like it's still Ohio State, it's like we're not lining up to bully them. Like, you got to be aware of that. And then also someone makes a good point, but also you can do the inverse, man. Spread them out on the goals line. Go empty. Force guys out of that box. That's a big factor too. But we just kind of look like, hey, we're gonna line up and execute versus Ohio State, and it's just we've seen that, man. That's tough to do versus these top tier line, especially when they see it coming from a mile away. I mean, we had done that QB sneak at least once, maybe twice prior, so they knew what was coming too, and they were able to predict it really easily. So that was a big factor. But ultimately, for the offensive side, man, Arch, very weird game. Mechanics breakdown, looked nervous. Sark play calling, not great, not creative. We're not used to that. Like in opening games, normally Sark has something for you, and we just didn't. And then, of course, I thought they did a great job in coverage. I thought Patricia played it great. I think, hey, make these receivers win. Because we know Texas, their run game, like we give a lot of stuff to the running backs. I'm not a huge fan of the running backs. I think they're pretty good. I think if it's blocked, they'll get something. But when it's time to create or make plays, I don't see that often from this running back room. And so Ohio State said, okay, stay on the ground. You can run. It's not efficient. That's fine, but you're not going to be able to beat us with your receivers. And Arch is going to have to beat us. And the game plan I thought worked perfectly. But also, too, man, I just like the separation from the receivers was a little unnerving. I mean, they were like pretty covered up multiple times.
I kind of thought that we
Sark
were
is in some ways settled to me when it comes to the run game. Like you said, like he's if it's blocked and the guys are getting the yards is blocked for, he's fine with. But we've always needed our best running backs we've had here, and even under Sark's tenure, were guys who made plays in the run game. Not just guys who did, they can get the yards they were blocked for. They made guys miss. Jonathan Brooks made guys miss in those small areas. Bijan Robinson made guys miss. You have to make explosive plays in the run game. Otherwise, we're just running plays. We're just running plays, man. And you have to be dynamic in that way. And I get it. We have guys we trust, but they play hard. Like make no mistake, we respect everything they do and all the blood, sweat, and tears stuff. But you got to be dynamic. You got to find a way to be a playmaker. And if we're not going to get it from the quarterback position, if we don't have it at the receiver position, we don't have it at where do we get our playmaking from?
Right. Yeah, that's unnerving.
It's a fair question.
And then, Drew, can you figure out whatever that beeping thing? I don't know if it's a children's toy or what it is, but it'll go like da-da-da-da every few seconds. I don't know what it is. Listen for it.
What's it doing?
Have you heard that, Court?
I've heard. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I will say, in talking about the offense and the running backs, that's a big part of Sarkisian's offense, obviously. All the play action concepts, all the leaks and all the rail, the post over, everything that he wants to do, get a safety on that post behind, get a receiver on that post behind, on top of a safety. Like, you can't do that without some explosion at the running back position. So I think they're going to have to find a concept that really, really works for them, where people are really going to have to commit and walk some safeties down at times. But yeah, you have a defense like Ohio State and Patricia today. They were like, all right, we're going to make you prove that you can essentially drive the length of the field against you. We don't trust your receivers really to come up with big explosive plays. We don't trust you in the ground game to make big explosive plays. They didn't get overly risky with anything that they did on defense. They kind of kept everything in front of them and just made Texas go the length of the field, trusted their athletes. And I mean, they did a good job of it.
Yeah. And Mike Green says, well, you can't be creative unless Arch knows the offense. So I'm sure Arch doesn't know enough of the playbook. So here's my thing. Quinn looked all right in Alabama 1, new to the scene. We had some offense there. Arch has been in this system going on year 3. There's really no reason why we shouldn't. I mean, it was just super uncreative. Like I get what you're saying if there's like a first year, like new to the program or a transfer, but that's just not the case with Arch. So it's like, what's going on there? Why was it so pared down? That's what I thought was a little bit weird. And then I'll keep harping on the receivers. Their separation came on like shallows, little things like that. But, man, they just didn't look like they were able to do anything until late in the game. So that's going to be scary if the receivers aren't able to win and get separation. Once again, with like a Wingo's athletic profile, Livingston, injuries is not super athletic, but he's good at finding holes in zone at Cal. DeAndre Moore, not much going on there with DeAndre Moore all game. So I just don't. We'll have to see, man. I thought Patricia's game plan was awesome, but that was tough, man. That was a tough go.
Yeah, DeAndre Moore just kind of, erased from this ball game, and I really didn't expect that. I thought he'd kind of be the guy that led us in receiving today, to be honest with you. Just I know he had a tough matchup over there with Jermaine, but I really, I thought they did a hell of a job on all of our targets. Jack Injuries, got open a few times. Arch missed him a couple. Yeah. But I think, they were living to they were okay with conceding some to Jack Injuries to take away Ryan Wingo and DeAndre Moore. And obviously they just, like you said, I think they were really covered up. Not a lot of separation.
Yeah. Before we keep going,
I can't wait to see like the advanced stats on this and what our success rate was. Because it felt like we were behind the chains. But then not even running plays on second down that even had a chance to get us back on schedule. So, you can't force things when you're off schedule, but goodness, man, like
Drew, did you see
we were not executing on the down. We were not executing the down and distance effectively throughout the entire game.
Yeah. Drew, did you pick up on in the first half especially? But if we went pass on first down and it was incomplete, it felt like we were automatic run. It happened feels like 4 or 5 times. I was like, there's no way we're lining up in 12 again, and they're just going to give it away. And then eventually Patricia started creeping down, further and further in the box. I was like, all right, I guess this is what we're doing here.
Yeah, it was. And then a lot of people commented, Sark was trying to reduce mistakes by doing that. Well, yeah, but how did that work out? At least when you have some creativity, or at least the chance that Ohio State does bust a coverage goes up. Ohio State's not going to bust coverages when you're just lining up and 11 personnel looks. So it's at some point you end up by paring down, you end up taking away all the upside of your offense too, and then you just kind of get to hang out at the ceiling or at the floor. So it's like that it goes both ways with some of that. Before we keep going though, guys, guess what? Some things just go better together. Burgers and fries, Friday nights, and Texas football. And now, Academy Sports and Outdoors and Whataburger. Your favorite new tailgate combo is coming in hot. Academy Sports and Outdoors is teaming up with Whataburger to fuel your pre- and post-game traditions. It's a match made in Texas. Score your limited edition gear at Academy. Get everything you need to host your own Friday night tailgate. Canopies, cornhole boards, jerseys, stadium seats, and more. Shop exclusive Academy and Whataburger gear while it lasts. Dig in now. We got a lot of Ohio State fans in the chat. Welcome, guys. If you haven't ever been to Whataburger, though, you guys are missing out. You guys need to when you're down in the area, guys, make sure you get some Whataburger. All right. So rushing game was weird. I thought to open, we were pretty solid there. We were doing well interior runs, and then, like Drew said, we got too predictable. Like 2nd and 10, here comes the run, so they can stop it. Our running backs, to me, like I said, are pretty good. They're not special. And so you had all right games. Trey averaging 5, Baxter averaging 4, and then Ryan Wingo on his 1 carry. So the offense just overall was not a dynamic offense, both in play calling, quarterback play, wide receiver play. It was just kind of flat across the board. The only times that you saw a spark was in desperation mode, which means maybe you should look desperate a little bit more often. Maybe you can get something going. But what was unnerving to me is I thought Sayin looked composed, man. He didn't have a crazy stat line. Yeah. I think Arch had more yards, similar kind of completion rate, but I thought he looked cool and calm. I've seen that in interviews with him, right? We followed Sayin in recruiting, so we're aware of him. But I thought Day just prepared his quarterback so much better, both in play calls, getting little short dump offs, and then the perfectly timed shot to Tate, which Tate climbs the ladder and makes a really nice play. Not a ton Gilbo can do there, but I thought they timed that well.
Their players made plays.
Yeah. But I thought they were well-timed plays.
Well-timed plays. Yeah, they made them consistently. Tate made a great catch. What did hurt us was penalty on defense. Penalties really just gave away a drive there. They really didn't do anything in the running game that was crazy or a threat. But Sayin made. I don't think he had a bad throw. I mean, every throw went where it was supposed to go. He underthrew that ball to Carnell Tate, but that's what you're supposed to do when you have a great player downfield wide open. Just put it up there.
Yeah.
So they have a baller at quarterback. I didn't feel as though their offense was dynamic, especially not in the run game. But it really won't matter if you have a quarterback protecting the football, making great decisions, and we got to deal with him. If we plan to be in a national hunt of anything, Ohio State and Julian Sayin or who we are going to have to deal with at some point again. So, yeah, he's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it wasn't anything lights out from him. I thought it was a clinic in how you keep a young quarterback engaged and safe and win a game against a good defense. That's what I thought Day did a great job. Cord, what were you thinking about Sayin's performance?
Well, just from the very first drive, man, I was kind of like fist in hand because that first pass attempt their first third down where Max Clare dropped that looked like a drag route right there on the sideline, Sayin looked really comfortable going through his progression there. And that was his first real opportunity to do so. And I was like, our guy on the other side, I love him and he's going to be a player. But he was flying through that progression. He had happy feet and, kind of junky mechanics. Julian looked like Julian on that, like he was a practice rep. And so I was like, right in that moment, I was like, okay, maybe he's a little more ready for this moment than I thought he was. I thought nerves would be flying all around. But yeah, they didn't ask him to be a hero, manage the game, play within the offense. You got dogs out here, complete a few screen passes, don't turn the ball over. And I mean, he did all of that above.
Yeah, and take what the defense gives you, right? Like the receivers didn't have a crazy. I mean, we know how incredible their receiving core is. I mean, this team can put up 600 yards of offense with these weapons, and so nobody had a crazy game. Carnell Tate was just a really well-timed thing, and then Jeremiah Smith also held in check because we know he can go for 200 yards if you let him. So I thought he was patient, and that was what was really important. I said pregame, the team that wins this is the one who manages their quarterback better, and Day managed his quarterback better, and I thought that was a major factor. On the flip side, I thought we did really well in run defense. Scouting them, I don't think James Peoples is a killer. I don't think CJ Donaldson's a killer. And we saw that, Ohio State was able to get that win without a run game and without receivers, catching a bunch of fades. It was really just nickel and dime, make the play when it's there type of thing. And they were able to do it. So I thought that was impressive, but not a crazy day from the Ohio State offense either. So Texas defense, I think, will be good. Gilbo gets, mossed. Okay, that was just a nice play on Tate. And then the time that they scored, other than that, it was just two dumb penalties back to back. And so you clean up those penalties, different thing. And then, the Tate thing, that's not going to happen often. So I still feel I have a bright outlook on the Texas defense, which is at least a positive going forward. What do y'all think?
Go ahead,
Jimmy Grayson Littleton.
Dude, I'll give that freshman, man. They did Ennis on that crosser. It was Smith on the crosser. Little bit of touching there, but I'll allow it. And then they go back to back, and then they fade him with Ennis. So they tired him out by running him across the field and then making the Ennis thing happen as well. So shout out Grayson Littleton for handling that. He's going to be a player, starting true freshman at nickel versus this receiving core. I thought he had a good game. And then, of course, he had that tackle short of the first down to gain later in the game. We've been hearing great things about Littleton. I thought he showed it against the best receiving core in the country. So that was a bright spot for me as well, seeing the freshman look at home in such a crazy environment with such good players to go up against. So that was a big factor as well.
Overall, go ahead, Drew.
I know you got to go.
All right. No, I was going to say overall, man, out of shooting yourself in the foot, on the one drive with the Colin Simmons penalty and then the defensive holding there, I'm dang proud of how the defense played. I think they mix and match coverages brilliantly again and keeping everything in front of them, not giving anything up over the top outside of the Carnell Tate, Jalen Gilbo let him slide by, but against a great receiving core like that, and in spots where Texas in that situational football moment where I think, we were trying to really hold them back from scoring any points, keep it a one-score game, and they're just right there on the fringe of field goal range. You get a little aggressive sometimes with your play calling, but I love the way overall that the defense played. I think it's a very positive sign, for the season and what's to come. And yeah, Grayson Littleton deserves a ton of great, a ton of praise. He had multiple really solid reps, and he's doing this against guys that are as elite as anyone he'll see, lined up in front of him for the most part. So overall, you'd like to see the pass rush be a little bit better, but at the same time, Ohio State just didn't sit there and block 5 guys every time. Sometimes they had an extra guy in protection. And then again, they're running a lot of shorts, a lot of quick screen action, so Sam was getting rid of the football pretty dang quick. So I think you saw Texas, you didn't blitz super heavy at times. That's not really Texas's motif anyhow, but you just not conservative, but keeping everything in front of you and not letting Ohio State, just make same thing I said about Ohio State's defense with Texas. Just make them show you that Julian can make correct decisions to length of the field, that they can run the ball effectively to move the chains, and not a lot of teams are going to be able to do that against Texas, in my opinion.
Yeah,
you could see it in the coverage, though. I mean, we accounted for. We didn't do it every play, but we definitely accounted for Jeremiah Smith and making sure we were putting all of our emphasis in coverage. You did see it on a few of the run plays where they may have gained more yards than we would have liked, but we were willing to let them get those yards just to make sure that they didn't beat us over the top. And for the most part, kept it all in front of us. So never really had issues about the defense. I do think it's tough to see a great defense be dominant just about a great, against a great program. I mean, at the end of the day, you're always going to have some plays, but I did not expect dominance. But this is about as close as you can get to, to slowing this offense down as you could, and that's even with a new quarterback. And he looked special. He looked solid. He ran their offense well. But you needed much more from the Texas offense today, and it really wasn't close.
Yeah, and the defensive performance in context of the offense not doing anything to help, right? You get hung out to dry. That penalty drive was because, man, they're on the field every 5 seconds. That was a big thing. I thought we were a little rougher in coverage than I was used to. I thought we were playing guys a little tighter, a little, walking that line of PI. I don't know if that's an Akina special. Maybe it is, but I also thought we were more physical with our DBs than we normally are in contesting things. A lot of the times we just kind of no cover zone it. They'd catch it and we run and tackle, but it seemed like our guys were getting more sticky and kind of playing that fun ref game a little bit more too. So that's something I'll be interested to see. Real quick, thank you, Mike. We appreciate it, man. And then, our teams is so similar. Be conservative with quarterbacks. I can say Ryan Day preparation with QBs might be best in CFB. Much love, y'all. OH. Appreciate you, Mike. Yeah, I mean, there's no question who handled the younger QB situation better today, and that was Ryan Day. And Sands a smooth operator, man. If you watch interviews with him and stuff, like, he's chill, man, and not fake cool chill like a lot of quarterbacks will be. Like, that's his actual temperament. Even on the post game, they're interviewing beating #1 Texans. He's like, good day out there. He just seems like he's 10 years in the league. We just wanted to go out there and make it happen and all this stuff. And I was like, this kid mentally is what you're looking for in a quarterback too. So future, we already knew it, but proven future is bright for Sam.
It just looks like a bro, just calm, composed. Yeah. It's like whatever happens, man. I got it. But yeah, he's gonna be.
I'm gonna go to Chili's after this. Have a night, rent a movie, have a nice night. Like it was. Yeah. It was pretty impressive, man. So that was a big factor for sure.
But preparation-wise, obviously, Ryan Day did a heck of a job with him. Composure, he was great, reading through the progressions. But that was a big thing that I was high on him for, and a lot of others were high on him for coming out of high school, was his ability to go through progressions at a high level of football. Very, very impressive. I thought for sure Texas likely turned that kid over a time or two, especially the way that Texas covered today. I mean, they probably deserved to find a turnover or so. But, I mean, again, Ohio State did a good job of, protecting the football. Ryan Day built a whole game plan around that, in my opinion. And I don't think that they really force-fed Jeremiah Smith after those first couple of drives. I feel like they really were trying to make a point to get the ball in his hands. Obviously the couple of drops doesn't help the young quarterback insane, but Jeremiah's not going to do that very often. So there's going to be some big defense along the lines that Julian kind of has his coming out party, where let the lights really come on for the guy, and he probably throws for 5 or 6 TDs and 350, 400 yards. That'll happen once this year.
Yeah, they're going to let him off the leash eventually, right? Like mid-season, they're going to be like, all right, he's doing everything he can to get let off the leash early. And so I think that's going to be a big factor. Texas defense, nothing crazy stat line-wise. Taft, 9 tackles. I thought he was solid in the run game. LaFau had the ability when Donaldson ran to the left for their first score. LaFau was in the hole. He got out of position somehow. And Donaldson was able to drive in. So that was the only moment with LaFau. Other than that, I thought he looked good.
I couldn't tell on that play if Anthony Hills, he came down into the hole and took out the blocker like with a cut or a dive cut, but I couldn't tell if he got tripped up there because it looks like he could have taken another step or two into that and kind of blown that hole up a little bit, harder there. Drew, you're going to know a little bit more there. Did you see what I'm talking about?
Watson had the whole point there, and he didn't.
Okay.
At the end of the day, the defensive line got displaced right at the point of attack, and it wouldn't have mattered. If you don't hold point there, you can at least slow. I mean, he had one area, one seam that he was able to hit, but that seam was there because the D lineman got moved off the ball. You don't need to be a hero. You don't need to split double teams, but you cannot get moved off the ball in that situation. You have to assume it's coming. You're playing in a gap. You have 2 people on both shoulders. Prepare not just to anchor yourself, but you can't give up ground there. So that seam was created because of just D-line displacement. I mean, other than that, you need that. That's a core part of being able to have a stand. It's just you can't get displaced.
Yeah, former Texas linebacker letting you guys know linebacker play. We're going to go with Drew's analysis on that every single time. Let me look down the stat line. Interior held up well. That was something that I was looking for. I think, let's see. Let's check my defensive pregame so I can hold myself accountable here. I wanted to win crucial moments. If you remember last year, you guys do Ohio State game. We kind of lost those big moments. Gunnar Stockton at the end of the game being able to get the quarterback run. So I wanted to win those crucial moments. I thought for the most part we did. Like we said, we're giving a lot of credit to Ohio State, but it's not like a crazy stat line occurred. It was just impressive in context of what was going on. So I thought we did okay at crucial moments. Gilbo giving up that thing. All right, great play from a great receiver. That happens. The only time I felt like we really shot ourselves in the foot was the penalty drive, but offense hung them out to drive. I thought interior D-line did good stopping the run. I thought, there'd be a drive or two where they ran a little bit. For the most part, man, we held up. Safeties and nickels holding up in coverage. I thought we did that. That was a big key. Littleton, a big key. Kept the all-star team from going deep too often. And then confuse a young Sand. Not a lot of opportunities to confuse them because it was Tate single read or a quick screen to Jeremiah. Day didn't allow that situation to even occur, which was good coaching on his part. We're not even letting Texas have the opportunity to confuse him. So we weren't able to do that because Day anticipated that. But we dissuaded a lot of big wide receiver passes. So once again, I'm not mad at the defense here. I'm frustrated with the offense. So that's a big thing.
I mean, they played well enough to earn a win, in my opinion. I definitely – you hold Ohio State, this cast of characters at the skill position to 14 points. I think that's deserving of a win. I would argue with you a little bit on the crucial moments, that we won most of them. You have the moments inside the red zone, obviously, where you don't score, you come up empty-handed again. You come up short on 4th and 2 from right around the 40 on the opening drive of the game. That's an opportunity to make a statement right there. We ran the split zone concept. Drew, did it look like Indrius was tagged at all to you?
No, win crucial moments on defense.
Sorry. Yeah, you're right. I'm so sorry. We're already on defense. Wow. So, on defense.
Offense.
No, defense, we certainly won the crucial moments in most part. Stopping them on an early 4th down, even though it came at the hands of Max Clare a little bit there. But, yeah, I thought overall I'd agree with you. And CJ Donaldson had a pretty good drive on that first touchdown drive. You know, he was kind of obviously penalties helped that as well. But outside of that, they did a really good job, for my opinion, in the ground game.
Yeah, it was once again kind of frustrating, right? Like our defense does enough. I mean, 14 points against the caliber of any of these teams, especially with that offensive weapon, should be good enough. But again, man, like, you know, right now we're dealing with Alabama is Sark's big win a couple years ago. You know, Clemson and Arizona State, I'm sorry, that doesn't count to me. We haven't been able to win the big games against equal or better opponents. And that's getting a little bit frustrating from an offensive focused coach. We've been a defensive team. I love it, man. I love PK's defense, but that is getting annoying to not only like get beat on the offensive side, but look inept, you know, run for 60 yards or completely kind of shut down. That's what's getting upsetting to see repeatedly in these big games. So,
I mean, that's more upsetting than seeing, like, you know, like think about Oklahoma under Lincoln Riley. You know, his side of the ball is offense. They score a bazillion points every game. They beat up on the Big 12. They go face, like you said, equal or better talent, and they get beat. I think this is more frustrating because our coach's side of the ball is offense, and that is where our struggles have come at times. And, you know, last year, a very, very good Texas defense carried a slightly above average Texas offense, in my opinion, not one that ever really reached its ceiling by any means. And so I'm not to say that they can't do that again this year, but yeah, I mean, obviously it becomes a lot easier if Arch and that offense, they grow a little bit. I think Sark play calling, man, I mean, it's got to be a tough gig. You know what I mean? At some point, you know, does he ever look to hire a play caller? I don't know, but that's just such a tough spot. Just somebody that maybe in that moment, 4th and goal, you're on the goal line, you really want to go quick and run quarterback sneak, a look we've shown multiple times, and just have that extra voice, you know, in the back of your ear, somebody on your shoulder saying, hold on now, let's slow down just a second. But yeah, I agree, it's frustrating.
We have a second quarterback coach. Something relaying there. I think Sark's a brilliant play designer. Didn't see it much this game, but I think he designs and anticipates generally in opening drives really, really well. The only tricky part is we have third down issues, which means we have first down issues. So I have questions about first down play selection consistently. And then also sometimes it's really obvious. The 2nd and 10s are an example. Here comes the interior run. So I think Sark makes incredible plays. I think generally he breaks down defenses really well and spots their weaknesses and designs. But in live, this is a big distinction. Live in-game play calling sometimes leaves things lacking. And that's why it might be nice occasionally to have one of our 3 other quarterback coaches. And Milwee was an OC. Just looking at something, man. It's because this has also been a theme over several years.
As a player, it is just hard for me to put that on the coach when the players aren't catching footballs, when they aren't making the basic throws. You can't get into a rhythm. You can't have confidence in what you're going to call when you're behind the chains, when you're trying to decide on 2nd and 10, do I just take the yards? Do I throw it here, then throw it again on 3rd down? Like, you need to be able to move. Like, you got to be able to hit your layups and your free throws. Like, a part of calling an offense
for sure
is to set yourself up for success on the next play and the next play and the next play. And every time you fail on the previous plays or on the basic plays, you can't get to that point. You just can't get to it. So it's not so much of making an excuse. It's just I want to make sure that we're holding the players accountable too for their part in it. And not in a negative way. It's just, dude, you got to see you're putting your play caller in a tough spot. You put them in a tough spot when you're not doing your part.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is not the best game to talk about it because Arch was just like sailing stuff and throwing stuff in the dirt. So there's that reality too. But it is something, you know, that is like you'll get an immediate like, how dare you? I'm getting more bold with saying, how dare you say, how dare you to me with that? Because it's like we're going on years, a couple years of me having this kind of feeling. But I want to show you guys something. You're really going to like this. You guys ready for the real MVP of this game? right here, boys.
Do it.
We got a punter, all right?
My
And we're
husband.
going to need a punter, apparently.
Yeah.
I thought Bomeister had really good situational punts. I thought he pinned them several times. I thought he gave us good field position that we didn't capitalize on. But, hey, man, having a good punter is going to matter, especially if the offense is like can't figure itself out. The next 3 games are against tomato cans. So, you know, we expect the ball to move well against them, hopefully. But I thought Bomeister had a really good performance as punter too. You don't know what you're missing until they're not around, and I thought that was a really important addition in the offseason. I thought he showed it early.
He was big in that second quarter because, you know, there's an opportunity there for Ohio State easily to add a second score. You know, let's say if he blasts one through the back of the end zone and, you know, they face with a touchback instead of being pinned inside their own 5-yard line there. I think it was whatever drive we came up empty-handed on around midfield there. I mean, it was for him a pretty easy little, you know, pin in place there with a kick. But yeah, it is pretty cool, man. You can tell hang time was really good. There was one time where we're punting from deep in our own territory. Jeremiah Smith was kind of set up, I think, on his own, roughly on his own 20. That punt had to be pretty close to 5 seconds of hang time, man. That was up there. And luckily, you know, Smith has to fair catch that one. Can't get anything going in the return game. Gonna help.
Yeah. You guys know what else is really, really cool? This Whataburger collab. Check out this hat. That's pretty nice. If you're in Texas, you'll know what's up. You can also take your honey butter chicken biscuits on the road with you right here, or carry a crying, tired toddler at the game.
Are those Watasberries in the middle?
Yeah,
what are they?
They're hey dudes.
I hate Wada dudes. I like it.
So it's going to be cool. Carrier bag for all your cold stuff. Joe bought his daughter this football. All Whataburger collab stuff. Nice sweaters. You got, look, Whataburger baby onesie here. Outdoors. Whataburger canopy. All this stuff, guys. Good stuff right now during the Academy Whataburger collab. And it's not going to be around for long, guys. So make sure you go to your local Academy and get hooked up ASAP. We appreciate you, Academy, for sponsoring. All right, guys. So we've talked about some of the issues. What happens going forward? And this is where Drew Kelson shines because he's a former athlete. He has the athlete mentality. Okay, offense looked bad across the board, laid an egg. Defense looked pretty good. What happens now, Drew? You guys didn't lose that much in that one season, but how do you handle a loss like this early on?
I mean, when you look, first of all, you have the first things first is look at your opponent. You know, if this was, I don't know, I don't want to disrespect anybody, UTSA game 1, and we had the same output, you know, we'd be talking differently. I think the reason why both of these teams were ranked 1 and 3 after losing a total of how many players to the draft, it's just because their talent, you know, so the talent is there. It's just a matter of getting connected, bringing that cohesion and figuring out who you are. You just can't put on an Ohio State jersey and be Ohio State. You have to work for it. You can't put on a Texas jersey and be Texas or be whatever. Like, you have to become a team. You have to become an offense that really mirrors the defense. Our defense has stayed connected and both schematically, in sync. They know who they are as an identity, and it's shown year over year over year. Sark has yet to build that consistent explosiveness. And I'd look around the country and I'm like, well, where are the consistently explosive top offenses in the country? And I mean consistently explosive when they play against top tier competition. There's a very short list of dominant offensive football being played against Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State. It doesn't happen at the highest level. But that's why those mistakes and those margin type plays, those plays you absolutely need, those are even more important at this level. So I do think on offense, we need to get things cleaned up. We got to make sure we're hitting our layups and shooting our free throws because that'll create opportunities for the big explosive plays. We just got to get it together and do the basics before we can be explosive. And I'm sure they'll do that. You know, we have all these games coming up where people are like, oh, they're all cupcakes. And then, you know, we go on the road to Florida. So, you know, it is what it is. We have plenty of work to do and plenty of time to get it done before we, you know, we head off to Gainesville.
Yeah. And luckily, like you said, 3 games to tune up because we're going to need a lot of tuning up. What do you think with Arch, right? So bad performance, rough first go. Now, you know, the golden child that everyone has put so much pressure on since he was 6 gets to have this moment. It's going to suck. Doesn't feel good. But now you might get a little breath of relief and go, all right. You know, the scary moment happened. Let's see what's up. And that'll be a big factor. We just got to get more on board with our receivers. Mechanics can't break down. Nervousness can't break down. Receivers, once again, got to get separation, got to win. But that's going to be a big factor in the next 3 games. We have Ian Boyd, the one and only chat. Ohio State fans, you don't know him well enough, but our local fans do. He will give you an interesting take on almost anything you ask for. Ian, were there any major, you just wrote your 5 big things piece. Give us a couple of those. What are your biggest takeaways from watching that game, man?
Well, this actually is not a quick thought, but in the article, but after the game, which team would y'all say has the better Space Force?
All right, so that means better outside receivers, better left. Ohio State left or wide receivers,
tackles, outside receivers, cornerbacks, edges, and D tackles. Which team was better?
I felt like we had better interior D tackles, but I'd need to rewatch again. I thought we did good in the run. I didn't watch. I'd have to watch again.
Interior D tackles don't matter in the Space Force.
Well, they do. I amended it.
He's added them, unfortunately.
I had to amend it.
He's cheated. So outside receivers is Ohio State.
The amended book at the end.
Ohio State outside receivers. Saraveld and is it Phillips Daniel?
Yeah.
I didn't watch offensive line or tackles that much.
They have the better matchup, I'd say.
Yeah,
versus
I would say probably they have better tackles. Definitely more experience. What else? Corners. I thought Jermaine Matthews had a good game. I thought Igbinosun made a good play on Livingston. I didn't see Igbinosun a lot. That's normally a good sign from a corner.
Connor, can you remember a single play where a Texas receiver had real separation?
No, that's why I think
the plays that Texas had where they almost scored was a result of running, scrambling, and Arch ripping the ball past coverage. Now, everybody saw Arch had plays where he had guys underneath that were open or good targets, and he whiffed. So I just want to make sure I say that. But everything that they got in this game that was meaningfully good on offense was barely out executing Ohio State by the skin of their teeth.
I agree with that.
They got clamped.
So corners, I agree. Trust me, you should have seen the earlier parts. I thought we got clamped too. So they win probably tackles. Y'all feel strongly about IDL. I'd have to watch it again. Definitely outside receivers.
Their IDL was better than people thought it might be. And it was pretty good in the goal line.
Yep. And then what are the other Space Force? Who else do you have for me?
I mean, Texas's edges were kind of quiet.
They got it out really fast, though, so it seems
yeah. But they had there was one play that bothered me. Ohio State was running a few different versions of duo, and they ran one version of duo where they would bring a receiver across the formation in motion to block the backside end. And there were some plays where like Carnell Tate blocked Colin Simmons, and it was far from a disaster for Ohio State. And that's not great.
That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, a receiver on a defensive end.
He's big. I don't think Simmons necessarily saw him coming. I don't know. But you can't just run around everybody. You gotta go through people.
You have, yes, thank you. With as much as we talk about getting sacks, you have to run through somebody's face every once in a while. You have to. If not, they're going to come block you. And Ian, you said it a few different times. If you were Ohio State, you would attack that side of the ball to see if he's willing to be a run stopper. But when
It's not like they were bad, but yeah.
You just got to be physical. A receiver should not be a willing blocker of a DN ever.
No. I like that they had Colin out there bumping on Jeremiah. Just one of just a tribute to the many different ways that PK was, going to try to impact and slow down him any way that he could. I would say, I mean, I'm going with Ohio State here from just today, though. If we're talking Space Force guys, I don't even think it's really that much of a question mark, to be honest.
I don't either.
Keenan Rice thinks he got me twice in one calendar year is crazy. Well, guess what? Georgia did it twice in one calendar year too. All right, so you guys aren't the only one. Texas can get beat twice pretty often in a calendar year. Right, guys? Good comeback.
Yeah, good comeback, Connor.
Yeah. All right.
This game felt like Georgia. Anybody else feel that way? It felt
the first
like
Georgia game.
No,
a little bit like the first one, a little bit like the second one.
Yeah, but this one was like so incompetent on offense, but not they weren't blitzing. So it was like
Georgia felt overwhelming, especially in that first game. There was nothing overwhelming about Ohio State in this game. We just didn't make decisions and didn't make plays and didn't have it schemed. Like they weren't overwhelming us. They weren't overwhelming us with pressure. They weren't overwhelming. It just they covered great when they had one-on-one coverage. Like they just did their job. We just couldn't find any margin or any edge. And then when we did, we didn't execute. But no, we got baptized by Georgia the first time around last year. This is not, I would consider this.
We were the number one team when Georgia got us.
Yeah.
So once again, you're actually not the first to do this. This is the second time this has occurred. So damn. Okay.
And we're not proud of it.
Have y'all talked red zone at all?
Yeah, we talked red zone.
I thought Texas's plan and their attempts in the red zone were actually solid
until it was time to finish. Yeah.
No,
they were so ready for that quarterback sneak. That one was the only one. Now every play up until that, I felt fine with, but that specific quarterback sneak, they had that so sniffed out pre-snap. It was crazy.
Well, you can't just go behind Campbell every time. So that's maybe a note for the future for Arch. But even the play call, I mean, what do you do if you're Sark? You have this huge quarterback. You've already snuck in on fourth once. Like, if you have a big quarterback, you should be able to get to the point where QB sneak from that range is like automatic.
Should.
They're not there. I don't think trying to make that be part of the solution is a bad idea. And they were inches away.
I'm with you, though. I liked everything that we did up until, I'm not as big of a fan of the sneak, but just lining up and running different concepts with Arch and the run game there. I want our red zone offense to look like that, a heavy amount, because you can do things off of that clearly in the passing game. We just didn't execute. I thought we were getting in on third down right there, to be honest with you. Hole closed pretty quickly. They shut it down. Like you said, I thought their interior defensive line, that's when they played their best football, was inside the red zone for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't feel – I know that, like, a big takeaway for most fans is going to be, like, skunked again in the red zone. That's
my take.
I don't think – I think they're pretty close. There's, like –
that's the thing, Ian. Close is not enough, dude. Like, the red zone is inherently close. we're already close. We got to get it in the damn end zone. That's the whole point of the game. That's the whole point of the game. If you're not going to kick field goals, score the damn touchdown. That's the point. What are we playing this for?
It was a success. I'm just saying I don't feel like they're like a mile away, which I know you can have another good.
But you're so close, you can't be a mile away. Is what we're saying. Figuratively, I don't.
No,
I know, but I'm even saying in the emotional sense, like the 1 yard, like Wyoming did it, Georgia did it, Ohio State did it, Ohio State did it again. Like this is a thing, dude. Like Oklahoma did it, like
Oklahoma
on the literal one, and we cannot get in.
Oh, look, I bounced between 9-3 and 10-2, and said I wasn't totally sure if the young athletes on this team were ready.
Yeah,
and everyone called me dystopian.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not as emotionally shook, perhaps.
No, I was telling Cord before, normally I have like much more strong feelings, and I'm kind of like, all right, because the offense was a huge question mark for me. At the beginning of the year, I would have told you the defense had a bigger question mark for me. It's totally flipped. I didn't expect it to be that weird, but I had a hard time calling this game and this team because of the young wide receivers that I think are, a ton of promise, but we just haven't seen it yet. I'm not in love with the running backs. Offensive line has had weird shakeups, even though I thought, once again, offensive line I didn't think was a problem at all. I thought Arch had plenty of time. He would just make a bad throw or couldn't see it. But, yeah, the offense is a little worrying. You don't generally go from that low of a floor to elite. You might go from low floor to like pretty good, but most of the time statistically
low floor is way too harsh. Week 1 against a team with NFL cover guys, and then like the best safety in football, sitting on everything you want to do underneath for easy offense. Like they could have opened against Illinois State or somebody, dropped like 50, and then had a game just like this.
And we probably will see that next week.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. We're missing wide open stuff. It was a pretty low floor. Like the first half, I mean, they were showing graphics. Texas hasn't been shut out since whatever year. I mean, it was a pretty bad performance. The end, it got pretty bright, but like you said, we're getting no separation. Arch looks visibly nervous, missing open throws. Running backs do okay. Like, it felt pretty low floor. I know it's a good team, but it's about as bad as a performance as you can have against a good team, right? I mean, we were worried about getting shut out.
Week 1 in the shoe. I mean, Drew can probably tell you about how the Texas defense had to bail Vince Young out, and he got some big eyes at times when in his game in the shoe. And he was
we had 3 turnovers.
That was like his 30th start or something. It was not like he was like a spring chicken in that game either.
I mean, they shut him down for over 2 full quarters. He had scored 10 points early in that game, and then we scored the late touchdown and add a deuce there on the safety. Like all of that, they shut him down. Yeah, once the linebackers kind of figure out angles and how big and fast he actually
there's
was.
always going to be a short list of ways. Yeah.
No, we lost. Drew.
There's a short list of ways we're willing to lose and accept it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's up? I'm sorry.
Hey, I'll go with y'all.
No, I just said there's a short list of ways we're willing to lose and accept it, and missing those throws is not going to work.
Yeah, I'll go. Hey, I'll
missing
take
the
this on
basics
your
is
side
not going to help
you guys. But anything else, Ian?
4th and 5 was really tough because it felt like Arch was getting it together, and I don't know what the protection call was, but that looked like a insane boner by Texas, letting CJ Hicks just come totally free on a 4-man rush.
That guy can pass rush too, man.
Yeah.
No one would blocked him though.
Yeah.
They went at the tackle, like kind of glanced and looked inside, and their edge, not like a defensive back or somebody.
Yeah, a nickel lined up outside.
Designated pass rusher on the field ran free at the quarterback on 4th and 5, and the play had like 0 chance.
I'm surprised he even got it away, even to complete it short there.
I was shocked Injuries caught it also. Injuries.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a nice catch too.
Yeah.
He's got good hands.
Yeah.
He's going to cook teams when they don't have like Caleb Downs or whoever on him. We're going to see Injuries do some pretty impressive stuff this year.
That's what I thought. I thought it was Texas wide receivers versus their DBs, and that turned out to be that way. Any other big takes, Ian?
Boom.
What do you think of the? Sorry, I also want to know what you thought of the O-line play after that.
Baker was kind of bad. The 4th and 5 doesn't block his guy. Maybe somebody that knows protections better will explain how that wasn't his fault, but I'm pretty sure that was his fault.
Did they full slide and a running back was supposed to pick up the end? Is that okay?
It was a 5 out. It was the
So
mesh.
we're empty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least 2 false starts that I noticed. I don't really want to pile on too much because he's like a redshirt freshman in his first game, and it's on the road against Ohio State. So, it is what it is. But that was tough. I thought Stroh was okay when he started. He wasn't really that sticky. It was kind of like watching Hayden Connor. And then they pulled him for Neto, and Neto, I believe, played most of the game from like the second quarter on. Neto, it seemed like, played pretty clean. Maybe review will say otherwise. I thought the line was honestly solid. They had time. Part of that was that Ohio State was like obviously not afraid of Texas's run game.
Yeah.
They're like, we're just going to focus on blanketing Texas's receivers, and they can try to run, and that's fine. They'll have nothing. And that was exactly right. But they blocked pretty well. Sometimes it felt like it feels like Wisner sees blocks and sees the fields really, really well. But he just doesn't quite have that burst where he'll hit the right gap and he'll hit it like in the right window. But he just doesn't quite have that burst to really blow teams away.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
It's like he knows where to be, and he's working really hard to get there. But I know exactly what you're saying on that.
Have y'all met?
No.
This is Cord, by the way. He's gonna do our Sundays.
I know Ghost. I know
he's gonna do the Sunday show and a couple more shows for us. But yeah, that's
good to meet you.
Yeah. We're going to do the rewatch tomorrow, guys, Sunday. It'll be me, Cord, and Eric. We're going to rewatch the game, tell you what we think more in depth. Hard to always pick everything up from the heat of the battle. Hopefully we can get that all 22 pretty quickly. That'd be nice. We'll be able to.
I'll ask. I'll be in the black market behind in a dark alley later.
For sure. That'll be a big factor. Okay, let's do final thoughts because I'm about to eat this Wingstop. I've been really looking forward to that. And so that's the big thing. Big takeaways, positive going forward, whatever you want. Ian, you just did your takeaways. How are you feeling? You seem calm as usual. You're not very affected by these outcomes anyways, but what do you think?
Well, I'm closer to 9-3 than I am 10-2 now.
Okay.
But they also, like I said, they played a really good team that had a great game plan. So we don't want to. I think I would have felt a lot worse if Arch hadn't started hitting some bombs and hitting that one touchdown and putting Texas in position a couple times to almost have a chance. Like those probably made the game more agonizing for some people, but to me, to have anything to hang your hat on was good. It wasn't like if Arch had gone out with a complete whimper and never done anything the entire game. That would have been, I think, a lot worse, a lot tougher to sit with than him hitting like that end to Wingo was great.
That whole shot to injuries was a dime on the side. That was nice.
Terrific ball.
Yeah.
And if you listen to Chad Johnson on X.com, he'll tell you that the interception Arch threw the right route adjustment and Wingo did not run it. And when that, I don't know what that makes a lot of sense from watching it. Because the ball is like, why is the ball there? And why is the only person in position to make a play on it the corner?
Yeah. Cord, I want to end with Drew because Drew's always positive. Cord, you're up next.
I'm kind of with Ian there. Like, I felt a lot better, and I really do hate using moral victories. I really don't take much from it, but it was relieving to see the offense move the football a little bit. They brought in a little bit more of the screen game, the quick game, spread out, tempo, that type of things looked more like, Steve and what he's trying to do every Saturday. And so it felt good. The Arch seemed a little bit more comfortable, once that's going on. But again, Ohio State up 2 scores. Not that they're not playing defense, but, they're going to keep everything in front of them in that moment. So definitely felt good to see that. The defense, in my opinion, is going to keep us in just about any game we play. But I mean, honestly, I was leaving the game feeling better about the O-line than I was coming into it. So I think that's a pretty big positive.
Cool. Drew, what you got, man?
We'll be fine. This game, I'm actually glad we played it first. I'm glad we played it on the road. I mean, when it comes to all the hype and all the, the legacy and all the stuff that really doesn't matter, the games like this are important. But this is still his first, I was talking about Arch here. This is still his first start on the road. These are still receivers and teammates that started at Texas. They came in his class. They came in and played with him. Trey Wisner, CJ Baxter. I mean, these are his guys. So they have to, and I'm sure they will, get back, watch the film, see all the missed opportunities, realize the areas where they didn't have each other's back, whether they didn't make the right plays, whether they weren't physical enough, whether they didn't make the right reads. Those are all the known things they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and do. And so I think, this is just a developing team, and that I think they'll be much more prepared when they have their next big road game in Gainesville than they were today. And that's really all I care about. So we'll watch this one off. And but nothing we saw today is going to be anything like what we think any of these players are going to be when they fully develop and learn from these mistakes. And that's from Wingo to Livingstone to Arch and everyone beyond. So, we dropped this one, but we'll keep it moving. I think we'll be just fine.
All right, guys. The number one spot to stay locked in with your favorite team is InsideTexas.com. Game analysis from our man Ian and Paul. And, of course, recruiting updates from Justin, Charlie, the whole gang there. And then team news from Eric, Justin, Charlie, Ian. They all pitch in. You guys should join Inside Texas. You can join right now, $1 for your first week. Guess what? As a bonus, you get a complimentary year to The Athletic. That's a lot of value we're providing, boys. Hop on the board, say what's up to us. We can chat post-game as well. We will have a post-game takes video from Joe and Evan, who are on site. They're going to give us their opinions. We'll get that up in a little while. And then tomorrow, Cord's first show. Well, actually, technically second show now. We're going to do the rewatch. So rewatch through the game, talk through it more in depth, see what happened, more at a little bit of a micro level. So that'll be important. Chat, you guys have been awesome. Shout out to all the Ohio State fans. Y'all been cool too. Congrats on your win. To the Texas fans, hook 'em, y'all. And this was the postgame show, and it was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. Peace, y'all.